He was an ordinary but professional bricklayer. In the evening, he carefully checked the waterproof wall he had just repaired for a client that day. Unexpectedly, a second later, countless bullets flew towards him. Vale quickly hid behind a nearby concrete wall. He hurriedly took out a roll of tape from his tool bag and immediately bandaged his wound. Then Vale threw his goggles to the ground, using them to observe the assassin's movements. When the two assassins came to investigate, they found that Vale had disappeared. Before they could react, Vale suddenly rushed out from a distance, knocking down one assassin with a hammer. As the remaining assassin performed his sniping display, Vale seized the opportunity to throw his helmet to distract him. He threw the hammer at the assassin with force. Then Vale flew over and pinned the assassin down, quickly using his measuring tape to choke the opponent. Afterward, he dragged the assassin to a cement mixer and pushed him in. Vale opened the lid of the cement barrel next to it. Just as he picked up the assassin's gun, the other man suddenly crawled up from behind. Vale didn't hesitate, raised the gun, and shot him down. Unexpectedly, another assassin on the roof aimed his gun and crawled forward. Vale suddenly broke through the wall and lunged at the assassin. Without a word, the two engaged in a brawl. Vale quickly picked up a brick trowel from the ground and stabbed his opponent fiercely. The assassin was equally skilled. He embraced Vale and slammed him into the wall that Vale had just repaired that day. This was a big problem. After this, he would have to repair the wall for the client again. The two fought from the rooftop, down to the sloped roof next to it. Due to the rain and slippery conditions, both almost fell at the same time. "Who do you work for?" "RER sends his regards to you." Vale seized the opportunity to land a punch, sending the assassin falling. Just as he was about to climb up, the elevator cable suddenly broke. It turned out that Vale was a retired CIA agent. Before retiring, he specialized in handling dirty work for the government. But 6 months ago, Vale suddenly resigned and became a professional bricklayer. After repairing a client's wall during the day, Vale went to a bar to relax. There, he heard a familiar voice. A glass of single malt whiskey with cheese and mustard. Vale turned around and saw that it was O'Malley, his former boss at the CIA. Their purpose this time was to get Vale to return to resolve a difficult problem. A few days earlier, in Thessaloniki, Greece, a German journalist intending to expose the CIA had been murdered. The crime scene was handled very cleanly, indicating a highly professional and experienced assassin. However, after checking surveillance, cameras, Agent Kett found some useful information. When she clearly saw the assassin's face, Kett was extremely surprised. She immediately reported the situation to O'Malley. O'Malley, after watching, was also astonished because the assassin was Victor RER, a former secret CIA agent. He had openly operated as an intermediary for the Russian mafia in Greece, but had been executed 18 months ago for refusing to carry out a mission, and now he was suddenly alive and appearing. Clearly, there was a big conspiracy behind it, because Radger and Vale were extremely close companions, and Vale had killed Radker at that time. That's why O'Malley came to Vale. Hearing O'Malley say that, Radker was still alive. Vale couldn't believe it. He had personally executed RER. He thought O'Malley was deliberately making things difficult. But O'Malley placed a file on the table in front of him. The file belonged to a man named Popov, a notorious Russian smuggler. While an agent, Vale often dealt with such people. Kett, standing nearby, added that this Popov had died in a shipwreck 2 years ago. But next to the female journalist's body, a photo of Popov appeared. This photo was the very one the CIA had used to assign a mission to RGER. Now, this photo suddenly reappearing could only prove one thing. Archer was still alive. They guessed that Archer's purpose in shooting the female journalist was to set a trap and frame the CIA. Since Radger had been personally executed by Vale, O'Malley decided to have Vale and Kett cooperate and go to Greece to investigate the truth and eliminate RGER. Moreover, this was a top-secret mission. They had to act without the Greek government and Interpol finding out. But Vale still firmly believed that Arcare was dead. He didn't want to get involved in any more CIA missions. So, he stood up and walked away. That night, returning to the construction site to check on the work, the shooting at the beginning of the movie occurred. Now, Vale finally believed the truth that Rocker was alive, and Arcare's next target was him. The next morning, he immediately met with Ket, ready to go to Greece with her to solve this problem himself. Vale still didn't forget to bring his bricklayer's tool bag. On the plane, Vale immediately fell asleep with his head down. Ket, while reviewing RGER's file, discovered that Riker was married and had an adorable daughter. But Arcare's wife and daughter had both died tragically, clearly brutally murdered. Upon arrival, the two drove to a dilapidated old factory on the outskirts. When they got out of the car, Vale saw a long-haired man and was overjoyed. The two embraced tightly. Vale introduced the man as Theo, an old teammate of his during missions. He had been taking care of Vale's dog since Vale retired. Ket looked startled when she saw the dog because she was allergic to dog hair. To ensure the mission went smoothly, Theo thoughtfully prepared the necessary weapons for both of them. Then Vale and Ket pretended to be a married couple to begin their operation. Before they left, Theo also gave them a 550-horsepower supercar. The chassis and front bumper were specially reinforced. With this car, their next actions would be greatly empowered. Back at the hotel, Vale told Ket to take a shower and do her makeup first, while he prepared a few things. But while Ket was showering, Vale secretly went to a church. He lit 3 candles in the censer, clearly performing a memorial service. Memories of intimate moments between him and RER's family resurfaced. Then, he secretly placed a phone on the church's heating system, seemingly knowing that someone would come to get it. Leaving the church, he sought out the GIA, the CIA's head in Greece, and recounted all the information he had gathered. The GIA was astonished to hear this. She couldn't understand why, as the person in charge in Greece, she knew nothing about it. They believed there was an insider, and RER must be holding an unrevealed secret. Then Vale revealed his true purpose. He said that when he and Raider were on missions, they often hired a local man named Stan to do some dirty work. Now he needed to find this Stan. The GIA told him that Stan had retired from his criminal activities and opened a beach club. As soon as he got the news, Vale immediately went to the beach club. Stan was no longer the gangster he once was, but had become a powerful boss. Stan was also surprised to see Vale. After all, he had worked for Vale 5 years ago. Now that Vale was back, it surely meant nothing good. Upon arrival, Vale didn't beat around the bush and went straight to the point. He wanted to find Rocker. Stan reminded Vale that RER was dead, but Vale sarcastically replied that people from the Balkans never die, they just leave behind a corpse smell. Vale knew this boss's capabilities well. Stan alone couldn't have built such a powerful empire. Clearly, there was a powerful force backing Stan, and the mastermind could very well be RG. Vale once again asked Stan to call Arcare out. He just wanted to talk to Radker face to face, but Stan nonchalantly said that he was now a legitimate businessman, no longer a thug that Vale could order around. Vale cursed him, saying he was still just a nouveau riche thug, all talk and no substance, like a parasite. Stan, enraged, pointed at his subordinates. Seeing this, Vale pretended to compromise, taking advantage of a toast to launch a surprise attack. As a CIA operative, dealing with these thugs was too easy. Those big guys were nothing to worry about. He quickly took down a group of henchmen and rushed out of the club. Ket arrived just in time to pick him up, helping Vale escape the assassin's pursuit. On the way back, Ket was angry that Vale had left her behind and acted on his own. But Vale explained that he was afraid she would hold him back. Then he asked Ket for her phone because he knew she had placed a tracking device on him. Otherwise, she wouldn't have arrived in time. At first, Ket tried to deny it, but Vale pinpointed the location of the tracking device, forcing her to compromise. and hand over the phone. Vale had barely glanced at it before Ket snatched the phone back. Ket demanded that Vale answer her question. She emphasized that if he wanted her cooperation, he also had to share information, especially the truth behind Radger's supposed betrayal of the CIA. Vale reluctantly recounted the entire story. Radger had always been an intermediary for the Russian mafia in Greece. Previously, to find a safe haven for his wife and child, he had joined the CIA. But the mission the CIA assigned him was to assassinate Popov. Afterward, his identity was exposed. The Russian mafia retaliated and murdered his wife and child. Since then, RER seemed to have gone mad, hunting down everyone involved in the murder of his wife and child within the Russian mafia in Greece. According to him, the CIA had caused him to lose his family by assigning him the mission to assassinate Popov. Therefore, the CIA had to send Vale to eliminate RER. At the same time, at CIA headquarters in Langley, they received a file from a hacker. Inside was all the evidence of the U.S.'s massacres of innocent civilians abroad over the years. The hacker threatened the CIA that if they didn't want this matter to be made public, they should prepare 100 million USD in Bitcoin and transfer it using a hardware wallet. Meanwhile, Vale and Ket were still secretly tracking Stan. They knew Riker wouldn't show himself easily, so they had to find a breakthrough through Stan. Taking advantage of Stan's absence, the two secretly broke into his house. Vale quickly demonstrated the professionalism of a bricklayer. He discovered loose bricks on the fireplace chimney. He used his tools to pry out the bricks and indeed found a file. In it, they found the dead female journalist's phone, proving their investigation direction was correct. They also found information about Rosker's next target. Just then, the sound of a door opening echoed from outside. The two immediately hid. A large man entered. He took a can of soda from the refrigerator to quench his thirst. Then he noticed unusual noises in the room, immediately drew a gun from his waistband, and moved forward to investigate. Vale suddenly ambushed him from behind, and the two engaged in a fierce battle. Vale could easily deal with ordinary thugs, but when facing a master like this guy, he became disadvantaged. After only a few moves, Vale was bruised and battered. Seeing this, Ket immediately drew her gun and demanded that he stop. But this was her first combat mission, completely inexperienced. Her opponent slapped the gun out of her hand, then threw her to the ground. They both attacked together but couldn't cause any significant damage to this big guy. Then he pulled a large knife from the knife rack and signaled Vale to choose a weapon. Clearly he wanted a proper one-on-one duel, but Vale was somewhat unlucky to only get a small fruit knife, smaller than a nail clipper. However, with a weapon in hand, Vale's combat effectiveness significantly improved. The two struggled, and Vale inflicted many wounds on the big guy. The big guy angrily delivered a shoulder throw, sending Vale crashing to the ground. But then he pulled out a rope and prepared to choke Vale. In a panic, Vale felt his tool bag, grabbed the brick trowel, and stabbed him directly. The big guy immediately went limp and lost his ability to fight. Vale then rescued Ket from the debris. This was their first time taking down an opponent together. Afterward, they found information about Rocker's next assassination target. Just then, Rocker called Vale. It turned out that years ago, Vale had deliberately let Archer go and helped him find refuge in Montana. Radker also promised to disappear completely. Later, when Radker investigated the truth, his family was murdered by the Russian mafia because the CIA had deliberately revealed his agent identity. That's why Jur went completely insane, assassinating those who opposed the CIA and setting traps to make the CIA responsible. While the two were talking, a crowd of protesters appeared on the street. Then these people clashed with another group. He was still trying to find Radger, but realized he had made a mistake when he pursued. Radker had taken advantage of the chaos to quietly approach his assassination target. Hearing gunshots, Vale quickly chased after him, firing multiple shots at Radker, causing him to fall from the motorcycle he was escaping on. But Archer still managed to escape. From the clues Archer left behind, Vale deduced that the traitor in the CIA had provided RER with a list of targets, so the two returned to CIA headquarters to report. But at this point, O'Malley suddenly changed his attitude due to a threat from the hacker. He decided to sideline Vale and let Ket alone deliver the hardware wallet for the transaction. When Ket reached the rendezvous point as instructed, Vale unexpectedly appeared and stopped her. Having gone through life and death situations together, Ket had learned Radker's tragic story from Vale. In her heart, she suspected O'Malley might be the traitor. She decided to side with Vale. Thus, Ket was responsible for external support, while Vale took the hardware wallet to conduct the transaction. When Vale arrived at the secret room, he saw a computer on the table. He plugged the hardware wallet, Ket brought into the computer port, and the cryptocurrency began to transfer. Radker's video call also appeared on the screen. Vale told Radker that there was still a chance to make amends if he stopped now, but Radker was unwilling. Years ago, he had only refused to assassinate a Greek foreign minister and had been brutally retaliated against by the CIA. This time, he was determined to complete this assassination and expose everything, revealing the CIA's crimes. He was determined to unmask the CIA's evil facade. Once he killed him, it would ignite a bloody war between nations. Millions of people would die. But Radker no longer cared about that. With that, he hung up. The transaction was completed. At the same time, the steel door of the secret room automatically closed. Vale realized something was wrong. He went to try and open the door but failed. Then he discovered a time bomb under the table. The clock showed just over 20 seconds. Vale quickly overturned the table and pushed it towards the door, then ran to a hiding place and lay flat on the ground. When he crawled out, he saw RER drive past him. Kid also drove their supercar over. The two teamed up and began to chase RER. After going through several narrow alleys, when they almost lost track of RER, Vale drove directly into a wall to block RER's path. But when he ran over, RER had disappeared. Vale had guessed Archer's intention and hurried to the city center square, because at this very moment the Greek foreign minister was about to give a speech there, condemning the CIA for recent civilian massacres. Vale spotted Archer standing on a high platform, disguised as a reporter, using a camera, but with a gun hidden in the side of the camera. To avoid causing panic among the public, Vale grabbed a large iron hammer nearby. Just as Archer was about to pull the trigger, Vale struck the iron frame hard with the hammer. The iron frame collapsed, severely injuring RER, but he still trembled as he tried to pick up the gun. Vale stepped forward, snatched the hammer, and struck Riker's hand hard, saying, "It's over!" But he defiantly said, "Not yet." With that, Archer put his other hand in his pocket. Vale decided to shoot and end his old friend's life. But what RER pulled out was a photo. Vale picked it up. It was a photo of Archer's family of 3 with Vale, a photo full of memories. At this moment, the Greek police arrived, not understanding what was happening. They fired 2 shots at Vale. Fortunately, with the aura of the protagonist, he survived. When Vale woke up, he saw Ket and O'Malley there. From O'Malley, he learned that the Greek foreign minister, who had always opposed the CIA, now thought that the CIA had saved his life. Their people had also gotten ahead of the Greek police, finding evidence of the frame-up and the list of CIA assassination targets in RER's car. Thanks to this, the CIA's reputation was saved. After leaving, Ket told Vale that the 100 million USD in Bitcoin did not fall into RGER's hands. O'Malley knew about this but didn't care. Vale advised Ket not to investigate further. O'Malley played politics on a different level than ground agents like them. After being discharged from the hospital, Vale sought out the Gia, his ex-girlfriend. At the Gia's house, Vale unexpectedly saw a special vinyl record. This was a song that Riker loved very much, and Riker had once given him an identical one. Vale began to suspect that the Gia was Rocker's insider in the CIA. Just then, the screech of brakes echoed outside the window. He went to look and saw several assassins rushing up the stairs. When Vuo turned back, the Gia was pointing a gun at him. The Gia confessed that it was all a conspiracy orchestrated by her and RER. Radker had come to her and threatened her life. So she chose to cooperate with him. But she also knew that everything would eventually be exposed. So she blackmailed the CIA for $100 million to facilitate her escape. Out of old affection, the Gia did not kill Vale. She just pulled her suitcase and prepared to leave. Vale also did not pursue the Gia because there was a group of assassins downstairs. He hurriedly grabbed a bag of flour and quickly put it in the oven. Then he hid outside the balcony railing. When the assassins stormed into the room, Vale had disappeared. They heard a noise in the oven and approached to see. As soon as they opened the oven, they were surprised by a large explosion. Vale was thrown downstairs by the force of the explosion. The Gia was about to drive away, seeing Vale's protagonist. Aura was too strong. She stomped on the gas and drove straight towards him. But just then, Ket appeared in time and fired multiple shots at the Gia's car. The bullets penetrated the windshield, ending the Gia's life. Afterward, Ket and Vale supported each other as they left. At the end of the film, Ket refused her superior's offer of promotion and a raise. She took Vale's dog, listened to his favorite song, and resolutely left the CIA. And unlucky Vale still had to return and continue repairing the wall that had been damaged in the previous brawl. In the context of an increasingly saturated action spy film genre, the Bricklayer, stands out not only for its spectacular action sequences, but also for its deep exploration of humanity. The film is not just a thrilling chase to find a traitor, but also a journey of a man confronting his tragic past. The protagonist Vale is not a perfect super spy. He is an ordinary bricklayer trying to escape the quagmire of his past, but then being pulled back in. The film's appeal lies in the fact that it doesn't just focus on gunfights or brawls, but also delves into the complex relationships between the characters. Friendship, betrayal, and Radker's personal tragedy make the story more than just good triumphing over evil. Audiences get to see that, in the treacherous underworld,